If you've been following education news, you've probably seen headlines like the one from K-12 Dive earlier this year. AI is moving quickly. How can districts keep up? There's real pressure on schools right now. The sense that if you're not moving fast on AI, you're falling behind. Your students are going to enter a workforce transformed by AI, and if schools aren't getting on board, they're doing their students a disservice. But here's what the data actually shows. Teachers are already using AI tools in great numbers. According to Gallup's latest survey from Q2 of 2026, 58% of K-12 educators are using AI in their work. It's not a lagging number, it's quite competitive with other sectors. For example, healthcare workers are at 48%, manufacturing workers at 47%, and retail workers are at 40%. That puts teachers ahead of most of them. So the real question isn't whether schools are falling behind on AI adoption. They aren't. The question is, are schools preparing their teachers well for the AI that they're already using and for the AI that their students are already using? And I think that represents a completely different problem, but one that requires attention, as evidenced by a recent Common Sense Media survey that showed 68% of kids said that they knew a little about how AI works, but the majority didn't actually understand basic facts about AI's capabilities. For example, that it can't tell truth from falsehood. Hello, and welcome to another episode of AI in the Classroom Daily. This is a podcast helping educators make sense of AI without the hype. I'm Dan Cogan-Drew, co-founder and chief academic officer here at Newsella, and I use AI as a thinking partner in preparing each of these episodes because I think the best way to talk honestly about AI in education is to work with it openly. So if we start with workplace AI adoption, because that's where we think about preparing students for work and where that argument is coming from. In February 2026, Gallup surveyed a nationally representative random sample of U.S. employees through self-administered web surveys. These were weighted to match national demographics, so it's roughly a representative sample. And the survey found that only 28% of U.S. workers use AI a few times a week or more. That's the baseline. Most workers aren't using AI regularly yet. Now, teacher adoption at 58% total users looks different. But there's an important distinction. Only about 26% of K-12 teachers use AI weekly, which is similar to the frequency with which it's used in the workplace. So teachers are experimenting with AI tools more than workers are, but they're not using them more intensively. The gap that matters isn't so much adoption, it's really preparation. What's actually missing, when I looked at K-12 adoption barriers, according to research by Tahiri and colleagues published in Computers in Education, Artificial Intelligence, the top reasons teachers aren't using AI more are clear. 46.6% cite insufficient training and educator knowledge. 45.9% cite restricted access to resources. And according to McGahey's meta-analysis of educator acceptance of AI technology, only 30% of teachers have moderate confidence in their ability to use AI-powered tools effectively. So if you compare that to workplaces, in worker adoption in companies that have implemented AI shows a pretty different problem. According to Gallup, managers aren't supporting adoption. Only 21% of workers would strongly agree that their manager supports AI use. Workplaces have the access and the knowledge. What they lack is organizational permission and encouragement. But in schools, it's sort of the opposite. Teachers want to use AI. What they lack is preparation, access, and confidence. So I want to take a closer look at this claim that students need to learn AI skills to be prepared for the workplace. According to Gallup, 65% of workers say AI has had a positive effect on their productivity and efficiency, which is real. But only 12% strongly agree that it's transformed how work gets done, which means that for most workers, AI is making existing jobs slightly faster and easier, but is not really reimagining what work means. So what exactly does this mean that students should be focused on learning? Well, in June of this year, Common Sense Media did a survey of more than 1,000 9 to 17-year-olds across the country, and they published a report called AI Use by Tweens and Teens. A few notable findings point in the direction of what students need to know and be able to do, as judged by the results from this survey. For example, only 35% of the respondents correctly know that AI cannot tell the difference between things that are true and things that are false. 42% incorrectly believe that AI can distinguish truth from falsehood. 27% of daily AI users would ask an AI chatbot first about their health body questions, versus only 12% of all kids. And among daily users, only 52% would ask a trusted adult first, versus 73% overall. Helping students understand what AI is, how it works, what it can and cannot do, is a very different curriculum, and it's one that teachers need support to teach. So where this gets concrete is that the largest school district in the country didn't respond to the move fast pressure by rushing forward. In July, earlier this month, New York City Schools Chancellor Kamar Samuels asked all NYC schools to freeze software purchases while the Education Department finalized AI guidance. This came after the March 2026 Red, Yellow, Green framework sparked pushback from parents, educators, and more than half of the city council. Samuels himself acknowledged in May that the city had missed the mark with the initial guidance. That pause wasn't failure. I see that as governance. That was saying we need to think about what this should look like before we move forward. So the reframe here, I think, is not whether schools are falling behind on AI adoption. The Gallup data suggests that they're not. The real question, I think, is what would moving fast actually accomplish, and what would moving thoughtfully actually require? If 46% of teachers cite insufficient training as a barrier, the answer is not going to be more tools. It's going to be training infrastructure, professional development, time for teachers to actually integrate what they're learning into their teaching practice. If 45.9% cite restricted access, it's going to be technical infrastructure, figuring out questions of bandwidth, devices, and integration with existing systems. And if only 30% have moderate confidence, then it's really about confidence building. Teachers need to see colleagues use these tools safely and effectively, and they need to know what ethical guardrails look like in practice. Those are institutional changes, and they're going to take time to do right. So if you're a teacher, I think what this says to you is that you're not behind. Your adoption rate equals or exceeds most professional sectors. Your concerns about ethics, privacy, and appropriate use aren't obstacles. They're evidence of professional thinking. The training gaps are a structural problem, not an individual failing. If you're a school leader, the pressure to move fast, I don't think matches what the data shows about where schools already stand. What matches the data is the pressure to prepare. Teachers are using AI, and I think your job is to make that adoption sustainable and thoughtful. And for everyone here, it's worth stepping back, since we're still in summer mode, to think about what this means big picture. The workplace isn't fully figured out. Workers are still experimenting with how AI fits. Schools don't need to rush to match a workplace that's still navigating this itself. Schools should spend time building foundations that are going to work sustainably for whatever comes next. So, zooming back in, I'm curious about your experience. You're using AI tools. What support would actually change how you use them? Is it more training, better access, clarity on what's appropriate? Do you need time to work with colleagues? What kind of work would that look like? What would be most helpful to you? I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Please share what your experience has been. And as always, thanks for spending a little time with AI in the Classroom Daily, and we'll see you again tomorrow.